episode 71 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. I am Bill Pivets. So this week, we had advertised that Bayley and Alexa Bliss would go at it, and that American Alpha would challenge the Revival for the NXT Tag Team Championship in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So the show kicked off with Bayley and Alexa Bliss. Great way to start off the show. These two are definitely going to definitely excited the crowd to get them going. Alexa guillotined Bayley. She had her turn on offense after a little back and forth between the two. Bayley blocked a kick. She landed a buckle bomb and then hit a running knee and some shoulder tackles into multiple corners. After a near fall, Alexa caught Bayley with a huge right hand and she fell sitting in the corner, which led to the first commercial break. Back from that, Bliss was still in control. Bayley caught Bliss with a stunner between the ropes. Bliss slammed Bayley down by the throat and then she hit her double knee stomp thing as Bayley was on the mat. She went to the top, but Bayley stopped her, and then she went for a super belly to Bayley, but Bliss countered into a super sit-out powerbomb. It was a really cool spot, and another great near fall. Bayley kicked out at the last possible moment. Bliss was yelling at the ref. She couldn't believe that Bayley was able to kick out. Just great spot right there. Bliss pulled Bayley off the ropes, and Bayley's head hit the top of the buckle. She went for a double jump splash, but Bayley blocked it, and then caught Alexa with the belly to Bayley to get the win. After the match, Bayley grabbed the mic. She said that she got knocked out and lost her title to Asuka in Dallas. She got knocked down again and had to watch Nia Jax challenge and take her spot at the last takeover. And she said she's back and ready, but at this point, Nia Jax interrupted her. Neither one were talking on the mic at this point. They were just going back and forth, just spitting some words at each other. But I did make out that Bayley wanted another shot at Nia Jax. Nia accepted and then walked away. The match itself was fun. I was actually hoping that Alexa Bliss would win. We've seen Asuka Bayley before. I'm pretty sure that's the route they're going before Bayley goes to the main roster. I would have probably rather see Bliss versus Asuka for right now. Granted, it doesn't have that marquee headline match like Bayley versus Asuka 2 would have. But Alexa has definitely improved in her role. I mean, she's a great heel to begin with, but the progress she's made in the ring, it definitely could see her challenging Asuka for a title, maybe at the takeover after Brooklyn. The post-match stuff, it made sense because Bayley's kind of on this redemption story. She won her match when she returned last week or 2 weeks ago. She defeated Alexa Bliss here, and now she's on her way up, and she needs to defeat Nia Jax before getting her shot at Asuka. So, I liked it. It makes sense, and I think that match is taking place next week. I don't know if they advertised it, but I'm pretty sure that would be next week's match. We got a video package for TM61, and I believe either Kathy Kelly or Andrea, I really honestly can't tell these two apart. I think it was Andrea, interviewed the Revival about the possibility of them losing their tag titles. They came off as confident as usual, and ended it by they said there's no chance of them losing their titles tonight. We then got a hype video for the Cruiserweight Classic. I will be reviewing the Cruiserweight Classic. I'm just not sure if it'll be on lumped in with NXT or if I'm going to do it a separate show. I'm probably going to do it a separate show to keep the two separated, so if anyone wants to hear NXT but not the Cruiserweight Classic and vice versa. So I will be adding another episode for, I think it's a 10-week tournament for the Cruiserweight Classic, so that'll be 10 more episodes for you guys that want to listen. Second match was Blake and Murphy back as a team against the Hype Bros. I don't know if the booking department wants me to tune out of this match when it was first shown, but I'm glad I didn't. There was tension between Blake and Murphy early as Murphy tagged himself in, but out of nowhere, Rhino ran down and he gored Mojo Rawley, Zack Ryder, and Blake. Murphy was able to get out of there unharmed. So yeah, that was awesome. I'm kind of happy I didn't tune out of that one because that would have been embarrassing if I missed that. And as for Rhino coming back, I liked it. He was great in his run last year as that veteran heel that the up-and-coming babyface needs to go through before getting to the title. And him coming back, especially with the roster most likely going to get depleted from the draft, they need some new talent or other talent on the NXT roster. So having Rhino back is definitely not a bad thing. I mean, he's not going to get the NXT title, but having him as the number 2 or number 3 heel on the NXT roster, I see it's a win-win situation for both parties. We then got a long video building up the Balor-Nakamura match. I believe that's next week. Yeah, because they announced it 2 weeks ago. Next week will be 3 weeks. So yeah, we got comments from Triple H, Neville, a couple other NXT and WWE stars made their made their comments about what the match means. And throughout this, they were showing some pictures of both men as they were hanging out in Japan. And there's this photo of Finn Balor with bleach blonde hair. It is fucking hilarious. So if you haven't seen that, I would definitely seek out that segment just to see Balor with like bleach blonde hair. It's amazing. We got some random interviewer asking how American Alpha plans on regaining their tag titles, and they said that they're more ready, willing, and able than ever, or something like that. I don't know if that's proper grammar, but they said they're more ready than ever. Some random interviewer asked why Rhino's back in NXT. He turned around and then continued walking out of the arena. And after this, it was time for the main event. Again, it was another 3-match show, but with this match, the 2 out of 3 Falls Tag Team title match, it made complete sense. As for 2 out of 3 fall matches, WWE likes to book them a certain way. They either do 2 quick falls at the beginning of the match with either team getting one, or they like to play it up, a little drama in the beginning. This one actually fell into the latter. At this point, there was about 30 minutes left in the show, so they definitely had a lot of work cut out for them here. In the beginning, American Alpha was wrestling around both members of the Revival, just taking them down, mat wrestling. Dawson goaded Gable, which distracted the ref and then allowed the Revival to take control. But it wasn't for too long. American Alpha took out the Revival. They landed stereo drop kicks, but sent them to the outside, which led to the first commercial break. Jordan had Dawson up for an atomic drop, yet Dawson somehow reached behind him and made the tag to Dash Wilder. And as straightforward as these guys are, there's no gimmick behind them. They're not like a Lucha Dragons. They're not the Ascension. They're just straight wrestlers, and they'll beat the crap out of you. They're very entertaining to watch, even from heel standpoint. They're good with double teams. They're smart in the ring, like that tag that I just mentioned with him reaching back, knowing how close he was to his partner. Obviously, this is all planned, and the spots are all planned where they should be, but just knowing, like, implementing that in their psychology of how to build the Revival up as these awful heels, it's very entertaining to watch. At this point, the Revival wore down Jordan's knee. Jordan was able to tag in Gable. He took out both Dash and Dawson. Gable was running the ropes, and Dawson pulled down the top rope, sending Gable to the outside. And he, spilled. He didn't brace himself or anything. His back hit the apron, and he just fell right to the mat. That led to the second commercial break of the match. Back from that, Gable was on the receiving end of the Revival's offense at this point. Dawson had a great-looking spinebuster, one of the best in the business. And the crowd was actually getting really pissed off, angry at the Revival. They were booing them because of all the double team moves, distracting the ref, all that heel stuff that they're supposed to do. The crowd was seemingly getting furious at them. Even the NXT crowd, how they're usually smart about some of these things, most of them were getting pissed. Gable got the tag to Jordan, who actually showed no signs of his injured leg. He landed some suplexes, a spear, and he got a near fall after the spear. He caught Dash off the ropes and locked him in an ankle lock. Gable pushed Dash off the apron, or Dawson off the apron, and locked him in an ankle lock as well, and made Dash Wilder tap out to get the first fall. As soon as they reset, they were back and forth pin attempts. Dawson locked in a reverse figure 4, which made Jordan tap out to tie the score. There wasn't a lot of time between American Alpha and the Revival getting their falls, which is what I expected. I was a little build up and then some falls, and then use the second half of the match to lead towards that third fall. After some back and forth, they both got some offense, and American Alpha went for Grand Amplitude, but Dash saved Dawson. Then the Revival went for the Shadow Machine, but Gable shoved Dash out of the way and out of the ring. Dawson locked in the figure 4 again, but Gable landed a huge headbutt from the top to break up the finisher. Dash sent himself and Gable out of the ring from a diving spear off the apron. There was, at this point, it was just a lot of back and forth action, really hard to keep up with all the moves, the breakups, the double teams. But towards the end of the match, the Revival hit Gable with the Shadow Machine on the apron. Mostly Dawson took the pain because he went back first on the apron, but the extra impact hurt Gable as well. They pinned him and retained their NXT Tag Team Championship. Of the 3 matches that these two teams have had, I still think the first one, where American Alpha actually won the tag team titles, is my favorite, just because of the crowd and the passion behind it after they won. But this match was amazing nonetheless. Even without those 2 matches to compare it was a great tag team match. It didn't have that same excitement between the two, because American Alpha won. It was finally their shot in the first match to get the titles. Second match these two had was American Alpha defending it, so they were pulling behind them. This third one, the crowd wasn't really as excited. I mean, granted, they were wanting to see American Alpha get the titles back, but the level of the TakeOver shows just has that extra oomph behind it, if that makes any sense. The back and forth between these two teams, the double team moves, lack thereof, I guess if they keep breaking it up, the near falls. I was actually literally sitting on the edge of my seat watching this match. It was just pure amazing. The things that these guys pulled out just to try to win or retain the NXT tag team titles, the Shatter Machine on the apron, the submission moves, the Gable leaped halfway across the ring just to break up a submission move with a diving headbutt. The NXT tag team division is a complete 180 where it was a couple years ago, and I tip my hat to both of these teams, especially the Revival. From coming out of nowhere, kind of like a jobber team, especially Scott Dawson when he was part of the Legionnaires with Sylvester Lafort. Just seeing what he's become in the last couple of years, I tip my hat to all of them. Great match. I expected the Revival to win because I do see American Alpha getting called up during the draft in a couple weeks. It's going to suck to see them off NXT, but they definitely deserve it. Having them and Enzo and Cass separated on two separate brands is definitely going to strengthen the WWE Tag Team division. Next week, I believe it is time for the Finn Balor-Nakamura match, which is going to be amazing. We're still on the road to Bayley's redemption as she is fighting to get a NXT Women's Championship match. And also, after the NXT show this week, there was the bracketology of the Cruiserweight Classic with Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo hosting. It was a lot of fun. I was tuning in and out a little bit, but they were highlighting some of the major stars, like Tajiri, the Brian Kendrick, Zack Sabre Jr., TJ Perkins, Rich Swann. They had a couple video packages for most of these guys. There was also some interviews. Brian Kendrick was there. Triple H stopped by. I think Zack Sabre Jr. Or no, TJ Perkins was there. Just sitting in with them, just going over their strategies and stuff. The bracket is up. One of the major first-round matches is that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano face off against each other in the first round. So that should be the match of the show, especially the first round at least. But like I said, I'm going to cover that on a separate show, which I think starts next week or the week. Yeah, I think it starts the 13th. So that'll be another show to look forward to. But other than that, I'll be back next week, same time, same place, for episode 72. If you guys want, follow me on Twitter at bpiv_sports. Rate, review, comment on the show through iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, wherever else you guys listen to the show. It'd be greatly appreciated. All right, I'll catch you next week. Peace.